Our guy is absolutely going feral, launching a spear strike straight at this massive divine beast. He's moving like a blur through the rain, closing the distance with that lethal, talisman-wrapped spear. Lightning crackles around the beast as the spear pierces its skull. Talk about a bad day at the office. The impact shatters the air itself, sending shockwaves through the scene like a total boss move. Blood is everywhere, but check that grin, he's actually laughing while covered in gore. He's clearly not human, just an absolute menace who somehow pulled off the impossible. Turns out, the beast was just 1 year away from ascending into a dragon after 9 centuries. The creature is losing its mind, wondering why this guy brought specialized anti-beast talismans to the fight. It tries to roar in defiance, but our protagonist is already closing in for the final blow. He lands on the ground, bloodied and broken, while the beast calls him a fool for his recklessness. The divine beast is literally gasping its last breath, mocking our guy for all this pointless bloodshed. But he doesn't even flinch, just cold-bloodedly stating he's only here to settle a debt. He's looking up at the rain, completely drained and wondering if the nightmare is finally over. Suddenly, the beast snaps back with a final, desperate roar, trying to figure out who he's talking to. A massive explosion of red energy tears through the rain, turning the whole area into a furnace. Inside his own head, he's spiraling, questioning if he's really about to fade into nothingness. Then his heart starts thumping like a drum, and he realizes he's actually still kicking. He's floating in this weird, dark void, feeling like he's trapped behind invisible walls. But he's not staying down, channeling pure rage to shatter the seal on his dantian. He goes full monster mode, white hair flowing and red energy exploding as he breaks free. Our guy is completely gassed, panting on the floor like he just ran a marathon. He looks up and realizes he's stumbled into a literal dragon's hoard of gold and loot. The place is glowing with high-tier artifacts, looking like a billionaire's basement on steroids. He's wondering who the hell owns this stash, because the sheer amount of wealth is insane. Then he spots a random stone monument sitting right in the middle of the treasure pile. It's a memorial for a child who never lived, which is honestly a massive mood killer. He stares at the inscription with those glowing red eyes, trying to process the heavy lore. He reaches out to touch the stone, but his hand is now just a tiny, fuzzy paw. The realization hits him like a truck. He's turned into a chibi version of a divine beast. He's waving those adorable little pink beans around, absolutely losing his mind over how short he is. Look at that absolute unit of a belly. He's gone from apex predator to total chonker. He's poking his own face in disbelief, wondering why his body feels like a plush toy. Staring into a mirror, he sees a tiny, winged gremlin staring back with pure confusion. He's literally hugging himself in denial, trying to process this humiliating downgrade in form. That tiny, teary-eyed face is just peak comedy. He's officially lost his dignity. He finally accepts the reality of reincarnation, even if it means being a pint-sized menace. Shaking off the existential crisis, he decides to loot the place for anything actually useful. He's scouting the treasure pile like a greedy little dragon, judging the previous owner's taste. That petrification mirror is a classic trap, but he's way too smart to fall for it. He finds a blue potion and realizes it's definitely not a curse, just some weird magic. Our tiny beast is questioning why such a bright room is filled with these weird, conflicting energy seals. He spots a random gemstone rolling around the gold, looking like a shiny marble for a cat. Squinting those red eyes, he wonders if the thing just tumbled down from the massive pile above. Suddenly, he's staring at a literal mountain of gold and jewels, looking like a dragon's dream vacation. The sheer scale of the treasure is enough to make anyone's jaw drop, even a pint-sized one. He's absolutely losing it, jumping for joy because he knows he just hit the ultimate jackpot. Sprinting across the gold, he realizes this isn't just a pretty rock, it's packing serious spiritual heat. That dark energy radiating from the gem feels way too familiar, like a ghost from his past life. He lunges for the prize with zero chill, snatching it up like it's the last snack on earth. Now he's just annoyed that the fancy metal housing is getting in the way of his loot. Our tiny beast is absolutely hyped, realizing the gemstone pops right out of its fancy housing. He's putting in some serious work, gripping the metal with those little paws and pulling hard. Straining every muscle in his chibi body, he's grunting and sweating just to get the prize. The crystal starts to crack under the pressure, but he's too stubborn to give up now. Suddenly, the gem snaps free, sending him tumbling backward into the pile of gold coins. He's falling hard, but he's clutching that purple treasure like his life depends on it. Bouncing off the coins like a pinball, he finally lands face first in the mountain of loot. He's nursing a bruised ego and a sore spot, lamenting how fragile his new form is. Despite the pain, he's relieved the gem survived the fall, keeping his eyes locked on the prize. But then he freezes, sensing a massive wave of spiritual pressure radiating from the shadows nearby. A massive rift in space tears open, crackling with blue energy right above our tiny hero. The air itself is warping, signaling that some heavy hitter is about to crash the party. Our little guy is sweating bullets, realizing he couldn't even win this fight in his prime. Suddenly, a golden claw tears through the void, looking like a literal god descending from above. The yellow dragon emerges in all its glory, making our chibi protagonist look like a literal toy. He's trying to puff out his chest, calling out the dragon for using cheap aura tricks. That stubborn little gremlin refuses to back down, snarling with a tiny, fierce determination. He lets out a pathetic, high-pitched squeak of a roar, trying to match the dragon's intensity. The dragon is completely baffled by this tiny, sneezing creature ruining its grand entrance. Looking down at the fuzzball, the dragon just dismisses him as nothing more than a hatchling. The yellow dragon looms over our tiny hero, mocking him for looking absolutely terrified. Our little guy is trembling in his boots, clutching his tail like a security blanket. Suddenly, a mysterious blonde woman appears in a flash of light, radiating pure, calm energy. She scoops up the chibi beast with a gentle smile, asking if he's comfortable in that form. The creature is completely stunned as she introduces herself as Christina. She kneels down in the gold, checking on the little guy with genuine concern. Meanwhile, he's internally panicking, wondering if she's just trying to figure out if he's hungry. He tries to act tough, bragging about how he used to go months without a meal. Christina just stares at him with a look of pure, bewildered confusion. He's still holding that purple gem in his mouth, completely flustered by the whole situation. Christina is visibly struggling to keep her cool, her hands glowing with restless blue energy. She pulls out a bottle of milk, clearly wondering what the dragon is actually up to. Holding the bottle like a peace offering, she gives our little guy a soft, knowing smile. The chibi beast is absolutely losing his mind, his eyes locked on the prize with pure intensity. He's pacing back and forth, debating if he should play it cool or just snatch the goods. Shaking with indecision, he can't stop his little paws from twitching at the sight of the bottle. She starts to pull the milk away, playing a dangerous game of hard to get with the hungry hatchling. Panic sets in as he realizes his liquid gold is about to vanish into thin air. He lunges forward with a desperate squeak, abandoning all his dignity just to get a sip. Finally latching onto the bottle, he chugs away while Christina watches him with total amusement. The little guy is absolutely shook, staring at the bottle like it's some kind of forbidden nectar. He's got a milk mustache and those big, glossy eyes, completely losing his cool over the taste. Christina is just beaming at him, clearly finding the whole situation way too adorable to handle. She offers him a path forward, extending a hand to guide him out of this treasure-filled tomb. The golden light makes her look like a literal angel, inviting him to leave the horde behind. She promises him a world full of new experiences, dangling the carrot of better snacks and fun. Our tiny protagonist is processing the offer, realizing that sticking with her is probably the smartest play. He's weighing the pros and cons, deciding that being a lone wolf is just too much work. He grabs his purple gem and tries to act like he's not just in it for the milk. Finally, he makes his move, grabbing onto her robe like a tiny, clingy shadow ready for adventure. Christina reaches out, gently scooping up the tiny beast with a warm, welcoming smile. She cradles the little guy close, whispering words of gratitude for his very existence. Our protagonist is completely floored, wondering why she's so emotional about him just being born. It's a weirdly wholesome moment that hits different, leaving him feeling awkward but strangely touched. Deep down, he knows the original soul of this body is long gone. He hands over the purple gem, testing the waters to see if she's actually trustworthy. She pulls him into a hug, rubbing her cheek against his fur to lift his spirits. The little guy is melting, realizing she's actually trying to comfort him in his distress. Walking away from the gold hoard, she promises to take care of him from now on. He watches her with a newfound sense of loyalty, finally ready to start this new life. The stone monument stands alone in the gold, a silent tribute to a life that never was. Our little guy is feeling the weight of his past, swearing he won't go out like a chump again. He's got that look in his eyes, pure, unadulterated focus on becoming a total powerhouse. He's curled up in the treasure, looking like a tiny, sleeping dragon plushie. Waking up with a stretch, he's ready to tackle the day with that same chaotic energy. A month has flown by and he's still sitting in the gold, starting his morning routine. He's getting used to this chibi life, even if the transition was a total headache. His little body is a cheat code, pulling in energy straight to his chest without any effort. Watching Christina weave her magic, he realizes this world is just built different. He's doubling down on his training, ready to master his power and leave the weak version of himself behind. Our little guy is chilling in a high-tier sanctum where the mana is basically flowing like water. He's got a fresh, impurity-free body that's honestly a massive upgrade from his old, broken self. But even with all this power, he's still got one major gripe that's really grinding his gears. That annoying little spirit Christina left behind is hovering around like a glorified security camera. He's staring at the glowing orb, wondering if the thing ever takes a break or just watches forever. It turns out Christina was super paranoid about leaving him alone, so she summoned this pest. Now he can't even get a decent workout in because the spirit is constantly hovering nearby. Every time he tries to sneak off for some real training, the little light bulb freaks out. It immediately zips off to tattle to Christina, who comes running like he's in mortal danger. He decides to just lean into his natural growth, letting that purple energy surge through his tiny frame. That red eye is locked in, plotting some serious moves now that he's leveled up. He's sitting there in the sanctum, eyeing the teleportation magic like it's a golden ticket. But he's holding back, knowing he's gotta deal with that annoying spirit first. The little guy is clearly frustrated, wishing he could just throw hands instead of playing games. He's venting about his busted oral structure, which makes his attempts at talking sound like a squeaky toy. It's a total struggle, and he knows he's stuck in this Chubby form until he finally matures. He's absolutely mortified when the spirit tries to mimic him, feeling his dignity slipping away. Suddenly the air shifts, and he senses that familiar, overwhelming surge of mana nearby. Christina makes her grand entrance, floating in like she owns the place and asking if he's been good. He's scrambling across the floor, totally hyped because he knows it's finally time to eat. Christina is gushing over the little guy like he's the cutest thing on the planet, while our tiny beast is playing it cool, acting like he only showed up for the snacks. She starts poking his cheeks, wondering if he's ready to graduate from milk to actual meat. He's practically vibrating with excitement at the mention of food, eyes wide and mouth agape. She notices his teeth haven't even sprouted yet, which is honestly a major developmental L. He's quick to fire back that he doesn't need teeth to be a total legend. Christina is just laughing at his sass, clearly charmed by this tiny, grumpy ball of fur. He's internally patting himself on the back, convinced his acting skills are top tier. She's totally oblivious, completely falling for his act while he plots his next move. Finally, she hands over the bottle and he's ready to feast like a king. Our little guy is shamelessly milking the situation, literally, while acting cute to secure his next meal. He's got that side-eye locked in, fully aware that his dignity is currently taking a massive hit. Christina is just sitting there, completely oblivious and pouring her heart out to her tiny, furry companion. Meanwhile, he's just chilling and listening, realizing he's basically become a master of eavesdropping on human secrets. She's looking down at him with such genuine affection, totally unaware he's analyzing every single word she says. That relaxed smile of hers is the only reason he's putting up with this whole charade. He's soaking up all this world-building info like a sponge, turning his captivity into a strategic advantage. She's checking in on her little baby, asking if he's finished his bottle with that doting tone. He's internally rolling his eyes, knowing full well that all this high-tier hospitality comes with a price. Because when she asks for something cute in return, he realizes that nothing in this life is ever free. Our guy is having a total identity crisis, staring at that milk bottle like it's a personal insult. He's literally screaming internally, wondering how a millennium-old divine beast ended up acting like a needy kitten. The frustration is real, but he's still got to keep up the charade to keep the milk flowing. Christina is just living her best life, petting him like he's the most precious thing in existence. He's blushing hard, trying to stay detached while she showers him with all that unearned affection. She's wishing him a happy life with such genuine vibes that he's actually starting to crack. That cold, cynical heart of his is softening, and he's finally admitting she's the real deal. She's a total ray of sunshine, and he's realizing that kindness is a language he's forgotten. 5 minutes ago she bounced to grab supplies, leaving him alone to spiral over his life choices. Suddenly he flashes back to his old mentor, wondering if training was ever this wholesome. The white-furred divine beast is lounging around, casually dropping a bombshell about his grand ascension plans. Our guy stands there looking completely unimpressed, his red eyes narrowing as he processes the sheer absurdity. He calls the beast an absolute idiot for being so obsessed with power while ignoring his own happiness. The beast tries to play it cool, acting like he's too sophisticated for such trivial human emotions. She leans in with that piercing gaze, challenging him to admit if he's ever actually felt joy. His stoic mask starts to slip, showing he's clearly never experienced the warmth of being truly adored. He doubles down on his cold, detached persona, claiming he has no room in his heart for feelings. She calls him out for being a hypocrite, pointing out that he's just as stuck in his own ways. His eyes widen in shock as he finally drops the act and admits his true, bizarre goal. She just laughs at the ridiculousness of his dream, clearly amused by the irony of it all. The fox spirit gets all sentimental, spilling her guts about a past romance that defied the odds. She's clearly still hung up on the guy who accepted her true form without batting an eye. Stepping onto the scene, she confronts our protagonist with the kind of emotional baggage he hates. She's basically calling him a total blockhead for not understanding the value of genuine connection. He keeps his cool, but you can tell he's annoyed by her trying to lecture him. She's looking at him with that mix of pity and frustration, like he's a lost cause. He tries to brush off her advice, but she's not letting him off the hook that easily. She snaps at him to stop mumbling and actually engage with the conversation for once. Losing her patience, she tells him to get lost and live his life, totally fed up. She storms off into the distance, leaving our dense protagonist standing there completely bewildered. Our little guy is still struggling with the language barrier, but he's finally grasped the concept of paying back kindness. Christina walks in, looking like she's about to drop some heavy news while glowing with that signature blue mana. She spots him and immediately panics, thinking he's in some kind of trouble or distress. Meanwhile, he's showing off his new walking skills, trying to prove he's not just a helpless hatchling anymore. He's got that smug look in his eye, hoping this display of growth will finally get that annoying spirit off his back. But then he sees her face and realizes she's actually tearing up, which completely ruins his cool. He's caught off guard and lunges toward her, trying to figure out why his guardian is suddenly emotional. She scoops him up in a massive hug, calling him a ball of cuteness while he realizes she's not actually sad. She remembers she has a surprise for him, reaching down to her bag while he stays on high alert. He's instantly back to his greedy self, wondering if the mystery gift is finally going to be some decent food. Christina drops the bomb that this snack is perfect for someone without teeth. Our little guy stares at the mysterious object, wondering what kind of feast awaits. She reveals it is a phoenix egg, the ultimate high-nutrient meal for a growing beast. The bag spills open to show a stash of these glowing, legendary breakfast items. A vision of the immortal bird appears, reminding him that these things cycle through reincarnation. He looks at the egg and realizes this specific creature wasn't even born from a shell. Waddling over with his tiny paws, he approaches the bag like he is raiding a pantry. He taps the shell with a claw, testing the structural integrity of his new meal. Cracking it open, he starts munching away while Christina watches him with pure, doting joy. The yolk glows with intense energy, and he knows he has finally secured the goods. Our little guy is absolutely going to town on that egg, mouth wide open like a vacuum. He looks like a total gremlin, eyes sparkling with pure joy because the flavor is actually cracked. Christina watches him with a soft smile, confirming the snack was roasted with a literal dragon's flame. He's licking his chops, already picking up on that faint, spicy hint of fire mana in the yolk. She hands him a bottle of milk to wash it down, telling him to pace himself like a pro. He takes a massive gulp, clearly not caring about her advice as he chugs the liquid gold. That soft texture is hitting the spot, making the whole meal go down way too easy. He's already eyeing the next course, waving a tiny paw around while wondering what's on the menu. Poking a weird, red and rock-hard egg, he decides it's probably too much work for right now. He brushes it aside with a casual swipe, opting to save that tough nut for later. Our little guy is absolutely wiped, sprawled out on the floor like he just hit a food coma. Christina is clearly amused by his gluttony, poking that ridiculously round belly while promising more snacks. She gives him a final, gentle pat on the head before heading out to fetch more supplies. Leaving him behind in the quiet room, he's surrounded by the remnants of his massive egg-based feast. He's struggling to keep his eyes open, fully feeling the weight of that high-energy meal. Drifting off into a deep sleep, he's completely out of commission while his body processes the mana. Those glowing red eyes finally flutter open after a long nap, shaking off the lingering grogginess. He sits up in his little basket, stretching out and wondering if he actually dozed off for too long. Scanning the room, he notices he's totally alone and starts looking around for any sign of life. Then he spots a fresh basket of eggs nearby, realizing Christina must have dropped off a refill while he was snoring. Our little guy wakes up from his nap, feeling fully recharged and ready for round two. He's debating if he should treat himself to another snack, acting like he's not just a total glutton. Convincing himself it's not about the hunger, but purely about absorbing that sweet, sweet flame mana. He plants his tiny paws firmly on the egg, preparing to drain its energy like a pro. Staring down his target, he recognizes this specific egg as an opponent he needs to conquer. With no one around to stop him, he decides it's the perfect moment to strike. Purple energy crackles around his claws, glowing with the intensity of 1,000 suns. He lunges at the shell with a ferocious strike, channeling all his power into the attack. The impact sends shockwaves through the room, hitting the egg with everything he's got. Suddenly, the shell erupts in a blinding, golden light, leaving him completely stunned by the result. Our little guy is absolutely baffled, staring at the egg like it just insulted his entire bloodline. He's licking his paw in frustration, realizing this snack is way tougher than it looks. He decides to stop playing around and finally gets serious, pulling that purple energy into his palms. Crackling with raw power, he unleashes a massive surge of energy directly onto the stubborn shell. A spectral dragon aura manifests behind him, roaring with ancient intensity as he pours his soul into the strike. The energy beam pierces through the shell like a laser, finally shattering the defenses of his meal. He's panting, checking the damage, and feeling like a total boss for finally cracking the code. Reaching out with a claw to claim his prize, he's ready to see if the taste matches the effort. But suddenly the shell starts moving on its own and he freezes in total, wide-eyed shock. Something is actually peeking out from inside, and he realizes he might have bitten off way more than he can chew. Out of the shattered egg pops this tiny, round white bird looking absolutely clueless. Our dragon hatchling is staring it down, wondering if this is a snack or a rival. The little bird nuzzles right into his face, acting like they've been besties for years. He's totally confused, questioning how a bird even survived inside a roasted phoenix egg. This bird is literally clinging to him now, radiating some seriously cozy and wholesome vibes. Suddenly the bird flares up with intense fire energy, glowing like a miniature sun. It's literally siphoning all the power he spent weeks grinding for, leaving him high and dry. He's flopped on the floor in total shock, realizing he just got robbed by a fluffball. The bird is just hopping around, looking innocent while he contemplates his life choices. He's absolutely fuming, ready to throw hands because all his hard work just vanished into thin air. Our tiny dragon is absolutely losing his mind, trying to decipher the bird's gibberish. The little fluffball just keeps chirping away, acting like they're old pals. Christina's hand descends to pet the bird, and the little guy is just baffled by the friendliness. Realization hits him like a truck. This bird is a phoenix, and he's totally stunned. He connects the dots to the concept of imprinting, and the bird just chirps in agreement. Memories of avian divine beasts flood his mind, and he knows he needs to investigate. He starts scurrying across the floor, with the persistent little bird trailing right behind him. The dragon tries to dash away, but the bird is surprisingly fast and keeps up the pace. They end up running in circles, turning the whole room into a chaotic, high-speed playground. He finally confirms his theory, watching the bird glow as he realizes he's stuck with this creature. Our little dragon is absolutely drained, floating midair while looking for a place to crash. He spots a ledge and decides that's the perfect spot to finally get some shut-eye. Meanwhile, the tiny bird is chirping up a storm, trying to get his attention. He's totally over it, wondering why the bird can't just fly up and join him. Finally settling down, he decides to just ignore the noise and drift off to sleep. But then he hears a pathetic sound and realizes the little bird is actually crying. He's genuinely annoyed, growling to himself about how much trouble this bird has caused him. Suddenly, Christina bursts through the door, looking frantic and carrying a basket full of eggs. She's worried sick about her baby, rushing in to make sure he's been fed. Stepping into the room, she sees the scattered shells and realizes he's already finished his feast. Our little dragon is curled up in a ball, finally getting some shut-eye with his new roommate. Christina is standing there, totally stunned as she realizes the egg he cracked was actually a phoenix. The tiny bird chirps out a sound, looking like a fluffball that just woke up from a nap. She walks over with a basket of snacks, completely oblivious to the chaotic energy radiating from the nest. Her eyes widen in genuine concern, realizing that something wild is happening right in front of her. Suddenly, the nest erupts in a swirl of fire and dark energy, surrounding the two beasts. The bird stands its ground, glowing with an aura that screams pure ancient power. A vision of the sacred firebird appears, revealing its origin as a traveler from the Garden of Gods. It's a cosmic coincidence that has these two fated entities locked together in a whirlpool of destiny. Christina watches from the sidelines, feeling bad that the bird won't let her get anywhere near it. That little bird is looking absolutely shook, eyes wide and pupils dilated like it just saw a ghost. Our dragon hatchling is clutching the bird, warning it to chill out because Christina is his ticket to safety. He's genuinely confused, wondering how a bird even managed to hatch from a roasted, high-energy egg. The bird is clinging to him for dear life, looking like a tiny, feathered security blanket. Christina is stressing out, realizing that a phoenix shouldn't be popping up for another 100 years. Our guy is staring at the bird with a mix of suspicion and annoyance, sensing something is definitely off. She's spiraling into a deep existential crisis, wondering if the natural order of the world is breaking. The situation is getting way too heavy, so she calls on her little light spirit, Rai, for backup. She decides to consult Fascias, the fire dragon elder, since he's basically the expert on all things flame-related. She thanks her spirit guide, ready to head out and get some answers about this impossible hatchling. Christina checks in on her little dragon, asking if he can hold down the fort while she's out. Our guy is already celebrating, throwing his tiny paws up because he's finally got the place to himself. She's still feeling a bit uneasy about leaving him, but deep down she knows he's built different. It's wild how she sees past his cute exterior, recognizing he's got a soul that's seen some serious stuff. He's tapping into mana like a total pro, swirling that energy around him with insane, effortless control. Most hatchlings are just reckless with their power, but this kid is operating on a whole other level. He's manipulating the flow with such surgical precision that it's honestly kind of terrifying to watch. Christina is clearly shook, realizing her little companion is way more than just an ordinary genius. She flashes back to the mysterious figure who handed him over, wondering what kind of training he endured. Regardless of his past, she's fully committed to being his guardian and promises to return before he knows it. Our little dragon is sitting there looking absolutely done with this tiny bird's clingy energy. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure is casually reading in a library, dropping lore about a talented genius. The camera zooms in on his face, showing a calm, collected vibe that screams hidden agenda. He's sitting by the window, bathed in light, suggesting he's got some big plans in motion. Back in the room, the glowing spirit Rai is nodding along, acting like the ultimate yes-man. Christina is busy lecturing the hatchling, telling him to stick to the spirit like glue. He's staring at her with a look of pure confusion, wondering why she's still hovering around. She starts squishing his cheeks, and he's just taking the L with a defeated little noise. Then she leans in for a kiss, leaving him completely flustered and blushing like a tomato. She finally heads out, leaving him in a total panic while the bird just chills in the basket. Our little dragon finally clenches his fist, feeling that sweet, sweet surge of pure power. He's absolutely losing it, throwing his arms up and screaming about his newfound freedom. He's definitely not a baby, and he's tired of being stuck in that boring cradle. He takes a flying leap, finally ditching the spot where he's been cooped up forever. The little guy is moving fast, clearly relieved that the spirit isn't hovering over him. He's trotting along with his new bird buddy, who's just chirping away like a total weirdo. That bird is giving him the puppy dog eyes, and he's clearly not having any of it. He snaps and grabs the bird with his mouth, trying to shut the little thing up. Tossing the bird aside like a piece of trash, he thinks he's finally getting some peace. But the bird just hops on his head, and he decides to just deal with it. Our little dragon is on the move, trotting across the floor with that annoying bird still glued to his head. He spots the door handle and realizes he's finally got a shot at breaking out of this place. Sizing up the jump, he's determined to prove he's more than just a cute, helpless hatchling. He launches himself at the handle with everything he's got, desperate to make a clean getaway. The door gives a pathetic creak, but of course, it's locked tight, leaving him hanging there in frustration. He's staring at the spirit, finally realizing why the little guy was so quiet. He's a total snitch. Channeling his inner beast, he lets his dark aura flare up, proving he's definitely not your average hatchling. With a burst of raw energy, he forces the door open, letting out a triumphant cry of success. He's standing in the doorway, but he's already sweating about how the spirit is going to react to this. The spirit is glowing with pure rage, and he's left wondering if he's about to get ratted out to Christina. Our little guy is processing the spirit's reaction, realizing he's basically been given the green light. That glowing spirit is nodding away like a total bro, confirming he's got permission to proceed. He's scratching his head in disbelief, wondering why the security is so incredibly lax around here. Looking at the massive, empty hallway ahead, he realizes this place is way more vast than he thought. He finally understands why they weren't worried about him wandering off. There's nowhere for a hatchling to go. The little bird on his head is just vibing, while he realizes his physical limitations are a major L. He's already over the struggle of walking, knowing he's not going to see much at this rate. A devious smirk creeps onto his face, because he's been paying attention to Christina's magic all along. He starts channeling that purple energy, recalling the exact flow of power she uses for her jumps. Suddenly he's enveloped in a surge of mana, feeling the entire lair respond to his command like an extension of his own body. Our little guy is feeling himself, confident that he's finally got enough juice to pull off a big move. He's not waiting around for anyone, deciding to just teleport out of there before anyone can stop him. With a flash of light, he warps through space, taking that annoying little bird along for the ride. He lands in a lush, green landscape, looking up at the mountains like he's finally free. That gaze of his is intense, realizing he's officially stepped out of the comfort of his lair. It's a whole new world compared to his past life, and he's soaking in every single detail. He remembers why he chose to teleport into the open air, avoiding any nasty collisions with the terrain. The little bird is perched on his head, looking absolutely rattled by the sudden high-speed travel. He lands with a thud, feeling like a total boss for managing to transport both of them safely. Meanwhile, the light spirit is completely losing its mind, panicking over his sudden and reckless disappearance. Our little dragon is questioning why Christina was so chill about him using that high-level magic. He's suddenly realizing that if every hatchling could just teleport around, the world would be absolute chaos. The poor little firefly spirit is looking totally depressed, probably realizing it failed its one job. He's scanning the area, wondering if he can actually sweep this massive magical outburst under the rug. A realization hits him like a brick. He's already blown his cover and can't hide his power anymore. He decides that overthinking is a waste of time, especially with a tiny bird chirping for attention. He gives the bird a quick, begrudging pat on the head, trying to keep his cool. With no other choice, he decides to just focus on exploring this new, unknown territory. He starts trekking across a fallen log, looking like a tiny adventurer in a massive forest. Reaching out toward the light, he's ready to see what kind of trouble he can find next. Our little dragon is hiding in the bushes, looking like a total gremlin while the spirit hovers nearby. He spots the tiny bird popping up in the leaves, acting like it owns the place. He's deep in thought, reflecting on how he climbed a tree just to get the lay of the land. Staring off into the distance, he finally locks eyes on the massive, glowing dome of Christina's lair. He's genuinely surprised, realizing that's what the barrier actually looks like from the outside. The whole area is absolutely saturated with dense mana, making the mountain and the lair feel like one entity. He decides he's seen enough for one day and starts signaling to the spirit that it's time to move. Scrambling out of the brush, he makes up his mind to head back before he gets into real trouble. He admits the warp was a total accident, but at least he's got his little light spirit guard to keep him company. He's betting that if he shows off his teleportation skills with just enough restraint, Christina will finally have to acknowledge his genius. Our little dragon is plotting, thinking that maybe Christina is the key to his massive glow-up. He's still got that tiny bird riding shotgun on his head, acting like a total boss. Everything has to be calculated, because he can't let his guardian catch on to his true, ancient nature. Suddenly he freezes in his tracks, his eyes widening as a strange, alluring scent hits his nose. He starts sniffing the air like a bloodhound, his little tail twitching with pure, unadulterated excitement. That's when he spots it, a vibrant red plant glowing in the middle of the forest. It's a legendary wild ginseng, a literal heavenly seed that's practically begging to be eaten. He's absolutely mesmerized, staring at the plant while feeling the insane mana radiating off its leaves. The energy is so thick he can practically taste it, making his mouth water in anticipation. He's gulping down his nerves, wondering if this single snack is finally going to restore his lost power. Our little guy is staring down that ginseng, wondering if he can actually handle the whole thing. But the plant suddenly snaps back at him, clearly not interested in being his afternoon snack. Those tiny fairies are swarming the ginseng, putting up a fight to protect their precious green. He's visibly annoyed by the interference, realizing these pests are going to be a major headache. The bird on his head is just watching the chaos, while he tries to swat the fairies away. Suddenly, the bird decides to join the fray, lunging at the fairies with some serious attitude. He's absolutely hyped, cheering on the bird as it clears the path for his big score. Seizing the moment, he snatches the ginseng right out of the ground like a total pro. He's got the whole root stuffed in his mouth, looking like a chipmunk with a massive secret. But the plant is way too big to swallow, and he's left wondering if he's bitten off more than he can chew. That legendary ginseng is finally getting ripped from the earth, and the tension is absolutely peaking. Our little dragon hatchling is looking totally stressed, realizing he's about to get caught in the act. The tiny bird is looking absolutely shook, eyes wide and pupils dilated like it just saw a ghost. He's scrambling to make a run for it, but the bird is fluttering around like a panicked mess. Suddenly he feels his energy slipping, and he's terrified that he's about to pass out right here. He's cursing his luck, realizing he's dragged himself into a trap he can't easily escape. A glowing green aura suddenly wraps around him, lifting him off the ground with mysterious force. The ginseng is getting yanked away by the same wind, leaving him totally defenseless and confused. The little bird is chirping in pure terror, watching as a new, unknown threat enters the scene. Out of the shadows steps a mysterious magic user in a green cloak, ready to reclaim the stolen prize. The green-clad magic user effortlessly snatches our little guy out of the air with a swirling wind current. That golden orb of energy is pulled away like a magnet, leaving our dragon hatchling completely defenseless. He's looking absolutely pathetic, dangling in the air while his precious snack drifts just out of reach. The ginseng is yanked right out of his mouth with a sharp tug, making him wince in total defeat. He's left floating helplessly in the breeze, looking like a tiny, confused black cat caught in a trap. Those red eyes are wide with pure shock, trying to process how he got outplayed so easily. The mysterious figure turns around, hooded and calm, clearly not intimidated by a tiny dragon hatchling. He's muttering to himself about his fading strength and his clouded mind, realizing he's way too weak right now. Our guy hits the dirt with a thud, feeling the sting of failure as his energy completely bottoms out. That little bird is chirping in a panic, while the stranger just stands there, looming over their mess. Our little dragon is completely wiped, begging the bird to stop crying while he catches his breath. Christina stands there looking ethereal, dropping the bomb that it has been a long time indeed. Fascias looms over her in his massive, draconic form, radiating pure fire and ancient intensity. He acknowledges the passage of time, his glowing teeth bared as he addresses the head of the gold dragons. That red-haired noble smirks, clearly reading her like a book and calling out her blatant breach of etiquette. He leans back with a cocky grin, basically daring her to make it worth his precious time. She keeps her cool, bowing slightly while apologizing for the sudden intrusion into his domain. The noble drops the act, his golden eyes widening in genuine shock as he hears the news. He jumps up from his throne, totally rattled that she kept the birth of a black dragon hatchling a secret. Panic sets in as he demands to know why she came to him instead of reporting to the Lord. Christina pleads her case, insisting the little guy is still just a kid who needs protection. She paints a picture of him needing space to grow and find his own path in life. Meanwhile, our tiny dragon is just vibing in the grass, completely unaware of the political storm brewing. She warns that if the big boss finds out, he'll definitely try to control or eliminate the hatchling. Darwin looks absolutely skeptical, questioning if this tiny dragon is even worth the massive headache. She drops the bombshell about the phoenix revival, knowing that kind of anomaly is impossible to ignore. The elder dragon is visibly rattled, pointing out that a phoenix shouldn't even exist in this generation. He slams his fist down in a total rage, realizing the Lord would absolutely brainwash the kid. Christina reflects on the danger, knowing the gold dragon elder is acting like a total child. Darwin finally smirks, realizing he's been played by her master plan all along. Christina keeps her cool, dropping a subtle hint that she knows exactly who to trust. Darwin is already plotting, seeing the black dragon hatchling as a golden ticket for his own heir. She expresses her gratitude to the elder, playing the long game to secure the little guy's future. The gold dragon elder smirks, clearly feeling like he just walked away with the winning hand. Walking away, Christina is already mentally roasting the arrogant lord who thinks he runs the show. She manifests her draconic wings, taking to the skies with a grace that screams total confidence. Throwing shade at Fascias, she reminds him that even the big dogs don't always get their way. She knows the drama between Fascias and his heir, prediction, is the perfect leverage for her plans. Hitting the ground, she's focused on one thing, getting back to her little dragon before he loses it. She's already stressing over his empty stomach, planning to bring back a feast to keep him happy. Christina is absolutely spiraling, realizing that the signal she just picked up means total chaos. She's visibly shaken, her eyes wide with panic as she processes the sheer scale of the emergency. With a flash of light, she teleports back to the scene, desperate to find her little dragon. She arrives just in time to see the aftermath, her heart pounding as she spots the tiny creature. Scooping up her hatchling, she's frantic and confused, wondering how he ended up in such a mess. Then she spots the culprit lying on the ground, a legendary mandrake root that's practically glowing. Her jaw hits the floor, realizing the little guy actually managed to swallow the whole thing. She knows that mandrake is dangerous as hell, especially when it's been soaking up dragon mana for centuries. Looking at her tiny, sleeping dragon, she can't believe a month-old hatchling pulled off such a reckless stunt. Catching a faint, lingering scent in the air, she finally understands exactly how he managed to snag it. We're getting the lowdown on Riz, a total prodigy among the younger dragons. She's the daughter of Rune, which makes keeping this little guy's identity a massive headache. Christina is looking absolutely drained, sighing as she realizes the kid actually survived that stunt. She's beating herself up, admitting that leaving him alone with just Rai was a huge mistake. It's wild that a tiny hatchling managed to teleport out of the lair on his own. He's literally floating in a magical circle, looking like a confused gremlin who just ate a mandrake. His eyes are wide and blinking, totally caught off guard by the sound of her voice. He's looking up at her with those big, innocent eyes, acting like he didn't just cause a disaster. She's apologizing for being careless, while he's just sitting there processing how much she actually cares. She scoops him up to head home, knowing his tiny body is absolutely wrecked from the damage. Our little dragon is sitting there, absolutely surrounded by a swirling aura of pure chaotic energy. He's clearly feeling the burn of those internal injuries, looking like he's barely holding it together. That mandrake root he snatched is looking like a total nightmare, a twisted plant with a face only a mother could love. He's realizing that his old life was a walk in the park, compared to the absolute madness of this new world. He's gotta be way more careful, because one wrong move and he's basically toast. He's putting his guard up, deciding that his own survival is way more important than any petty reflection. He's locking in, focusing all that raw mana into his tiny body to start the healing process. That little bird is looking totally confused, chirping away like it's trying to figure out what the hell is happening. He's giving the bird a condescending pat on the head, acting like he's the big brother in this weird dynamic. He's finally starting to realize that having someone care about him is actually kind of a vibe. Our little dragon is actually vibing, admitting that this whole situation doesn't feel half bad. He spots a weird, glowing light, and his eyes lock onto it with total intensity. That tiny bird is nuzzling up to him, acting like it's his new best friend for life. He's gulping down the energy, wondering if he just stumbled onto something truly legendary. Suddenly his core flares up with purification energy, and he's looking absolutely stunned by the power. He closes his eyes, feeling the surge of mana and realizing his hunch was spot on. The poison is totally neutralized by the water energy, and now fire is flooding his core. He's looking at the bird with a mix of shock and respect, realizing it's actually useful. He starts petting the bird, thinking that maybe having a sidekick isn't the worst idea. Christina walks in, totally oblivious to the fact that her hatchling just leveled up big time. Christina holds the tiny dragon, telling him that his current struggle is just a growing pain. She reassures him that once he matures, a simple mandrake won't even be a challenge. The hatchling lets out a cute cry, feeling confident that he will bounce back in no time. She stares down at him with a look of pure, overwhelming affection, calling him her precious child. Her eyes are wide and intense, still struggling to process that he already mastered teleportation magic. She notes that his recovery from such severe internal injuries is completely unheard of, even with healing. The gravity of the situation hits her, realizing he is far too extraordinary to be a normal hatchling. She worries about the consequences if Lord Isha ever finds out about his hidden, massive potential. Our little guy is looking up at her, wondering why she is staring at him with such intensity. She decides to cast inheritance magic on him, finally securing their bond as she holds his tiny paw. Our little dragon looks absolutely bewildered, tilting his head like he's trying to solve a complex math equation. Christina starts breaking down the lore of inheritance magic, that ancient, god-tier power meant for the elite. It's basically a conceptual download of a dragon's entire soul, knowledge, and broken abilities. But she warns that for a newborn hatchling, this kind of mental upload is a massive, crushing burden. The most twisted part is that you can accidentally inherit the caster's own messed-up ideologies. She explains why this forbidden technique is so rare, given the insane risks and strict conditions involved. It's a one-time deal that can only be performed once in a lifetime, making it a high-stakes gamble. She looks him dead in the eyes, asking if he's ready to trust her with his entire existence. She admits she really wanted him to just have a normal, chill childhood without all this heavy baggage. But seeing him reach out, she realizes he's ready to step up and embrace the destiny ahead. Christina sits with the hatchling, dropping some heavy wisdom about how fleeting youth really is. Our little dragon reflects on his past life, knowing exactly how much her genuine care means. A jade pendant sits on a cushion, a silent reminder of how cruel and cold life can be. He contemplates how fragile innocence is when reality starts demanding its pound of flesh. The pendant is held in a delicate hand, showing how once things break, they stay broken. A woman sits in the dust, weeping over the shattered pieces of a life she can't fix. He accepts that this pain is the price for the protection she's so desperately trying to provide. The ritual begins as a massive, blinding golden circle of magic erupts around them both. His eye twitches in sheer agony, feeling the weight of the inheritance magic crushing his senses. Even from a distance, the sheer pressure of her mana is enough to make his skin crawl. Christina gives our little dragon a reassuring smile, trying to keep him calm before the storm. The ritual kicks off, surrounding them both in a massive, glowing circle of ancient golden runes. She stands at the center, channeling her very essence into a blinding display of pure magical power. Our hatchling watches in awe as the weight of her entire life and memory begins to manifest. She reaches out, fully committing to the dangerous transfer of her soul and legacy to the child. The energy surges into the little guy, wrapping him in a cocoon of intense, glowing symbols. He's feeling the heat, his eyes widening as he realizes this is way more than he bargained for. His mind is getting absolutely flooded with an archive of forbidden knowledge, stretching his nerves to the limit. The hatchling grinds his teeth, fighting through the sheer agony to claim this power for himself. He lets out a desperate final roar, demanding that the ritual give him every single drop of strength. Our little dragon is struggling to stay upright, his body clearly reeling from the massive magical overload. Christina rushes toward him in a total panic, her face etched with pure, unfiltered maternal terror. She scoops him up into her arms, begging him to snap out of it and wake up. Tears well up in her eyes as she desperately calls out to him, praying he isn't gone. The hatchling finally stirs, blinking his red eyes and managing to stutter out her name for the first time.